Hello, family. Our movie begins with two young girls having fun near the seashore. They are best friends, and their families live next door. The story shifts to a few years later, when the two girls have grown up. Lil and Roz are her given names. They've gathered to mourn Lil's husband's death. Lil and Roz have both become mothers and have a son, the same as Lil and Roz. Their sons are best friends, a lot of time together. Time passes, and the two children have reached the age of 18. His name is Tom, and he is Roz's son. And his name is Ian, and he is Lil's son. They spend all of their time together. Harold, Roz's husband, informs her one evening that he has been offered a job at Sydney University, so he wants to bring Roz and time with him to Sydney. But Roz refuses to relocate and leaves her life behind. A man named Saul approaches Lil at work the next day and invites her out on a date, but Lil respectfully declines since she dislikes him. Harold travels alone to Sydney to make plans. Roz and Tom are also scheduled to relocate a few weeks later that day. Roz swims in the ocean to reach the free-floating dock. She notices Tom has already arrived. They talk for a while and develop an odd attraction to each other. Later, the four of them get together for a drink. Lil starts dancing after listening to her favorite music. Tom joins her and they dance for a long time since Tom is too anemic to stop. While Lil goes to her home, Ian decides to stay at Roz's house to ensure Tom's safety. Later that night, after Tom has gone to bed, Ian comes to Roz's chamber and kisses her. Although Roz is hesitant at first, the two make an affair. Tom wakes up just as he is about to leave to get a drink. His mother emerges from Ian's room, perplexed and frustrated. The next morning, Tom goes to meet Lil. He informs Lil that he does not want to move to Sydney because he enjoys his life here. Tom unexpectedly kisses Lil, but she pulls him away, surprised by Tom's advances. After listening to him, Tom tells Lil what he observed night. Lil is shocked that her best friend is sleeping with her son. Ian and Roz are now sleeping together. Tom goes to Lil's residence and spends the night. Tom goes to Lil's room later that night and sleeps next to her. Lil is aware of this but does nothing. Tom wakes up the next morning and begins to caress Lil. Lil is now turned on, and they make an affair. Tom returns home and informs Roz that he did it with Lil, just as she did with Ian. Roz is taken aback by this and rushes to Lil's job. They both feel bad for meeting each other's sons and agree that it should never happen again. Lil tells Ian that he can no longer be with Roz, but Ian assures her that he still loves Roz. When Ian goes to Roz's house the next day to chat, Roz informs him that it's all over and that it won't happen again. Ian refuses to let it go and seduces Roz. Roz accepts his advances and they make an affair again. Meanwhile, Tom and Lil are making an affair passionately too at Lil's place. Roz and will meet later to discuss their romance. Both Roz and Lil acknowledge being content and agree to continue as long as it lasts. Harold returns home one day, bringing his wife and son with him, but Roz tells him that neither she nor Tom can accompany him to Sydney because they each have a reason to stay. So Roz and Harold decide to divorce and split up. Saul visits Lil's residence and proposes to her. However, Roz speaks on Lil's behalf and informs him that Lil does not wish to be with him. Saul misinterprets them and believes Roz and Lil are a lesbian pair. Now that they're both free of their old men, Lil and Roz are upfront about spending time with their two sons. After 2 years, Ian now works for a thriving boat building company with his mother. While Tom is studying, Harold asks Tom to Sydney to conduct one of their plays one day. Harold and his new family are hosting Tom. Tom meets Mary, who is auditioning for the lead role. At the audition, and they begin an affair. Roz and Indian are still dating, but Roz thinks Ian will lose in her soon. Lil discovers Mary's existence and unwillingly accepts that he has moved on. Tom goes home after a month and resumes his romance with Lil. Harold pays Roz a visit one day and introduces her to his new wife. They've come to honor Tom's 21st birthday. At the birthday celebration, Mary is also present, and Lil is envious of Tom and Mary's relationship. Tom drives his wife to her hotel after the celebration. She takes Tom to her room to receive an extra special birthday gift, so Tom enters a room to obtain a rare gift. Lil is sad since Tom did not return home last night, and she believes he has moved on. Roz also realizes that Ian will go sooner or later, so Lil and Roz decide to discontinue their relationship with the boys. They inform Tom and Ian that it is over, but Ian is distraught since he does not want to end his relationship with Roz. Roz attempts to reason with Ian, but he storms out afterward. The ceremony, Tom marries Mary. Hannah is a girl Ian meets. Roz notices them together and is envious, but she controls her feelings in order to retaliate. Hannah and Ian are friends. Later that night, Ian knocks on Roz's door and begs to be in. Roz, on the other hand, does not open the door and quietly sobs in her chamber. He goes surfing by himself and breaks his accident while being treated at the hospital. Ian is refusing to see Roz. Hannah pays him a visit one night and nurtures him through his physical therapy. In his dreams, Ian cries out Roz's name. Hannah inquires about him, As a result, Ian informs her that he considers Roz to be his second mother. When Ian and Tom meet for lunch, Ian informs Tom that his relationship with Hannah and decides to end it. Hannah, on the other hand, shows up at Ian's workplace one day and informs him she's pregnant. After a few years, Ian and Tom have married and have 2 kids, Shirley and Alice. They are now a lovely family who spends their time at the beach, while the majority of them are submerged. Later that night, Ian and Roz share a peaceful moment. They all ate dinner together before Lil said her goodbyes and left for home. Tom soon becomes inebriated and goes for a walk to clear his head. Ian pursues him and meets up with Lil. Ian is enraged at them for prolonging the affair and rants at Roz for thinking it's finished. Their conversation is overheard by Mary and Hannah. Ian tells them about his and Tom's romance with each other's mothers. His revelation horrifies Mary and they decide to depart with their girls, never to see their husbands again. When Tom arrives home, he discovers Roz alone in her room. She informs Tom that she doesn't think any of them will ever return. The next morning, Lily sobs to Roz that they had stopped at the same time as Ian and Roz, but she and Tom couldn't stay away from each other and renewed their affair only a few weeks after Tom's marriage. Lil tries to excuse her behavior, but Roz is speechless. Ian goes for a swim in the ocean as time passes. He climbs onto the water's free-floating dock, where he first began flirting with Roz and where Roz and Lil used to swim together as girls. When he gets to the top, he notices Tom, Lil, and Roz greeting them. He's curled up next to Roz. Despite their feelings of regret for their acts, they decide to ignore the past and carry on with their affair as if nothing had occurred. This is how our movie ends. Leave us a comment on how you found this movie. See you in the next video. We hope that you enjoy your time and have a good day.